user experience effects and transitions. Of course, native apps, they're directly tapping into rendering abilities of the native system, while we are still using capabilities of the browsers that have advanced dramatically. Entire PWA movement has been possible only because the browsers has advanced and started to support such things as a service worker and local storage and images. But I will probably leave it for either question and answer section if you would be interested in these technicalities, or on Friday Alfred's or agency session on Wednesday, because we don't want to overload merchants with service workers, index DBs, and local cache storage. What matters is that there is a new, and when I tell you can think about a metaphor of responsive web. It appeared thanks to media queries, so there was a moderate or small innovation in the area of the web. And this innovation allowed us to serve different layouts, mobile optimized layouts based on the breakpoints. It was pretty well received, but it took time and effort till merchants adapted responsive and developers adapted responsive as well. Progressive web app is similar in a way because it's based on new tech affordances. So tech is enabling us doing new things, but it will take time for developers, agencies, merchants to understand this technology and adapt it. Progressive web app is not a new programming language. It's an amalgamation. It's of language libraries like React, Redux, GraphQL as a data transport from backend to frontend. But all of this enables us to, through certain learning curve, just like with responsive, but eventually it will be there. And we are here to help you to be the first, to be ahead of the pack, to serve your customers much faster, much more engaging e-commerce storefronts on Magento specifically. We focus on one platform exclusively. And we see some merchants on other platforms looking actually into migrating to Magento due to Scandi PWA storefront that is considered by them probably the best in class out there. Well, to summarize the question about what is PWA and why everybody's talking about it, why everybody's talking, there is certain hype because big brands and Google are reporting huge conversion rate increase on mobile for PWA adopters. Merchants are suffering from mobile gap. Mobile visitors peak, but conversion rate is lower. So people are leaving desktops, they're going mobile, but they're not converting. They're probably converting somewhere else where the storefront is mobile first. So that's primary reason. And what is PWA? It's a certain technological setup involving taking advantage of advances in browsers and certain technologies like React, Vue, and GraphQL in order to deliver content to your customers faster and engage them with your stores through a more modern look and feel, so more modern user experience. So, put it very simply, it's like mobile apps, but delivered through browser in few seconds. And they don't need any update to upgrade. So you can think about this as PWA is like a mobile app that you don't need to have a separate team to maintain. It works as fast as fluid and has the same affordances like camera access, gallery access, location, notification, home screen installation. and to some extent local storage. So the pages, the images you have seen once, they're available in offline mode. So let's move to the second question. So you probably came here already knowing something about PWA, so it was just a fast recap. And our next question is, what is Candy PWA in particular? Because this is Candy PWA community session for merchants. Candy PWA is a PWA theme bringing all of the mentioned advantages of growth in conversion rate, engagement, performance, push notifications, same code base for web, mobile, Android, and iOS for Magento merchants. Candy PWA is a product, well, for Magento, just like one-step checkout or a theme you can find in Theme Forest. It is, however, more advanced in terms of adoption. So while you can easily set up a theme without any advanced support from your developers, and you can set up some extensions also right in the extension setup wizard, PWAs will require some manual effort, well, unless you use our cloud solution. If you want to play with our cloud solution, just send an email to hello@candypwa and tell a subdomain that you want to use, and we will send you back a ready-to-go Candy PWA theme running on top of Magento open source. So Candy PWA is a theme. It, simply put, it is Magento frontend rewritten in React, and all the data is served there instead of conventional resource models or some other ways how Magento delivers your data or how you request it. All the data is getting there through single interface of GraphQL. GraphQL, as they call it, the API on steroids. It's faster than API. It's just not to go into technicalities, that okay, you can request granularly some data without loading the whole object and also. So that's something introduced by Magento. This awesome affordance now of the platform, you can get all your data in GraphQL. The same is available in Shopify, for example, because nowadays e-commerce platforms are increasingly allowing their users, their merchants, to get the data on any device, or be it like Smart Mirror or PWA storefront, through GraphQL. So it's like an industry standard nowadays. So we take advantage of GraphQL endpoints and reactive frontend. So it was about 1+ year effort and commitment to rewrite all the features like simple product configurable, my account, use, multi-store, multi-language, currency, all the promotions, and make sure that all the backend settings, like you want to restrict certain countries, so you want to put images in this order, or you want to add this attribute to layer navigation, and you want particular this attribute to be on top and this on the bottom. So you got used to set these things up in Magento backend, and we make sure that majority of this and each of these features is described in what is available, what is still requiring some manual action is described in a Candy PWA guide, so you know exactly what to expect when you have Candy PWA installed for your store. Because PWA is still in its infancy, and sometimes we just look, wow, it works so fast. But what about 301 redirects? What about SEO? What about bots? Generally cannot index client-side, rendered side, because instead of your server working for them and delivering them page, now they have to spend their resources on rendering your page on their device. So it either works with delay, with a limited, how to say, rendering budget, or you have to have a server-side rendering solution. That is generally not an issue unless you run a store that has more than 1 million URLs indexed, and your load from the bots is about 15 to 20 requests per second. Then we will highlight it further in a case study that just can be installation. So if progressive web app as such is a new technology based on advances in browser, then Scandy PWA is an instance of PWA future taken in Magento ecosystem. It's an open source, so it allows any Magento merchant, any developer to get as creative as possible and to deliver amazing advances in user experience without having a large. It took us a large thing within this year to write everything in React, and you need just to customize it. It's pretty lightweight. A usual estimate for progressive web app for enterprise was like it starts with half a million. You will just start and then you see what you need to make it work for you. Scandy PWA, by being available as an open source, is saving a lot of money and effort for any merchant who is willing to as a front end for their store. Because the collective effort of the community who has been contributing the features and the core team is available for you out of the box, just like Magento. So it's the same setup. And those merchants who are running commerce editions or commerce in the cloud, they have the same setup that will be released this February with code snippets and installation instructions of how you can set it up in Magento Commerce Cloud and also on-premise. So with this, I hope we'll answer the second question. What is Scandy PWA? Scandy PWA is the farm's first and only complete PWA theme for Magento that allows you to use all the conventional backend features and see how the settings are propagated on the front. There is another useful thing that if you are a bit advanced merchant, that you know, okay, we need to run varnish to make sure our store is fast. Because Magento as such is quite resource intensive system, so all non-cache requests will take second, 2, 3, or up to 5. So how does it work? So is GraphQL so magical that you can serve anything in a second? Well, it's not. It's not. It works, I would say, pretty close to standard Magento request for data. So inevitably we need to cache, but what? Because Varnish is caching responses, so no responses. So we made certain arrangements using persistent query algorithm used by Facebook to make sure that we are caching data. So your customers, once requesting the data from your Magento database, they will receive it, and then we store it in Varnish. And the beauty of it is that first of all, Varnish is supported by Fastly, because Fastly is Varnish-based CDN. So all responses of your store can be propagated across all Fastly points of presence, and then serve close to each. And second, that it taps into default Magento cache management extension that operates 6 steps. So whenever some product, price, image, category is affected, Whenever something is affected, this xtag is immediately sending a request to invalidate this part of the cache. So we are not throwing outdated cache, and it works in the same setup, in the same harmony of ensuring data consistency, just like a traditional Magento. So Scandy PWA is not only PWA standard that brings this thought after benefits, but it plays very well with Magento. It is made for Magento. It is made by a team who are working with Magento more than 10 years. 1,000 products per project, from really small to working on projects. Automotive, the biggest retail chains, and fashion. Number 3. Okay, I'm ready to try. Who will help me? Scandy PWA does not provide development services. It